The Coach Curl podcast is brought to you by Think and Grow Business, the home of the Think and Grow Business Mastermind. If you're serious about growing your business, get serious and join a mastermind group today. Find out more at thinkandgrowbusiness.com.au.
Way to go, guys. Way to go. Keep it going. Good job, guys. All right, Paul, I see you. All right, John, let's finish. Coach Carl.
Great job, guys.
Hey there, everyone, and welcome to today's leader, the Coach Curl podcast. And today I want to share what is conscious leadership. For me, it began when I was working with clients and working through what I was then calling at the time intention and investment. The intention leaders need to have and the investment that leaders need to make. Now, combine this with some of those basic principles that surround emotional intelligence, things like self-awareness and self-regulation. And the term conscious leadership just started popping up in these discussions. And it was more about the conscious decisions and the conscious daily behaviors that we make as leaders. It's about being consciously aware of the way that we're driving ourselves towards the vision or the purpose or the outcomes that we seek. And in all honesty, I wasn't aware that it was a field of leadership in itself. But I wasn't surprised when I discovered that with a quick Google search. And while the term is common, there's a couple of differing differentiations around the concept of conscious leadership. Now, for some people proclaim conscious leadership along the lines of what they do with conscious consumerism or conscious capitalism. It's the process of putting people before profits. For others, there's a spiritual inference. There's the concept of spiritual intelligence that fits in with the conscious leadership realm. And the closest philosophy to what I had been sharing with my clients is the one that promotes self-awareness, mindfulness, and intentionality. But even that has some differences between what I would say are the keys to conscious leadership. Now, my concept of conscious leadership is about being conscious as a leader. And maybe, so I don't confuse people or infringe copyright, maybe that's what I'll share. To be conscious as a leader. To me, a conscious leader follows the concept that they are consciously making decisions based around some very key principles. The first one is, of course, having a long-term vision or a long-term outcome for themselves, their team, their business. So understanding where it is that as a leader you want to go and understanding where it is that you want to take people or take a business or take a team. Secondly, it's about having that purpose and understanding our own values and the non-negotiables around that. So really cementing that foundation of our own core beliefs and our own core behaviors. Being aware of the best processes is number 3, and having the best people approach to steer the ship towards the long-term vision. So understanding process and the best way to generate that from a people aspect is just so important for a conscious leader. Systems, there's still leaders out there that think that because I'm paying someone that they need to give me their best. And as we know, that's not the case. That is not the case. Yes, you'll get a level of performance out of someone that you're paying. But ultimately, if you want them to perform at their best day in, day out, you need to be investing in them as a leader. So whether that's coaching, mentoring, Time sometimes is simply the factor that people want. So understanding the role that all plays in the achievement of our long-term vision is just so important. Number 4 is about being aware to respond appropriately. And when we are aware of our own emotions and that we have a skill set to regulate and manage our approach, we will more often make the right decision on response than reaction. So there is another term that I'll be sharing with you in the coming weeks that I really want to start focusing on, and that's the leader that's driven by their own natural emotions. And often when we're a leader in that mold and in that mindset, we're going to react. We're going to react, not respond. So if we're angry, we will react. If we're emotional or upset, we will react. When we're not feeling our best, we will react. Whereas I think when we're consciously being the best leader that we can be, we're going to respond, and there's a massive difference. And in no way, shape or form am I saying we need to suppress our own emotions. Absolutely not. But we need to find a way to be able to acknowledge them, understand why we're feeling that way, and still make the right choice towards our long-term outcome. And the last step for me, I think that's 5 that I've talked about, 4 up to now. This is number 5. Being intentional in the development of our people and investing our time, our skills, and knowledge and experience into their personal growth. I think that's critical as a leader. If you want to get the best out of your team, you need to invest in your team. So making just daily decisions based on the long-term approach and vision and aligning our people in growth and development is so important in our own journey to become conscious leaders, or a leader that operates consciously, as opposed to that natural style of leader who's operating subconsciously or at worst, unconsciously. So it's a really open, aware, and honest revelation that I really want you to be thinking about. How can I become that conscious leader? How can I be making the right decisions, the right steps, day in, day out? How can I show that investment back to my team? And we start the journey really by understanding what that long-term vision and what that long-term outcome is going to be. So asking ourselves questions like, do you know where we're going? Do you know where you are going? Do you know where you want to go? Do you actually know where you are now? Do you know what your career is panning out to be? And if you're in business for yourself, what lies ahead for your business? And what does that look like? It's so interesting when I talk to business owners and I ask them, where do you want this thing to be? This thing called the business. Where do you want this thing to be in 12 months? And often business owners just don't know. And I guess they're so focused on the day-to-day and dealing with that and surviving that they really don't have a lot of time, or they're telling themselves they don't have a lot of time in setting through what that long-term vision, what that long-term outcome is. But you talk to a business that's devoted to excellence, and it's a different story. So our long-term vision is what sets the scene in this journey. And in many ways, it's the key. There's 5 steps in my mind, but this is about setting the scene for ourselves. It's the key. And then everything kicks off from there. So over the coming weeks, I want you to stay tuned as we build into these key components of conscious leadership to help you on your journey. Because I believe 100% that if you're conscious as a leader, making decisions daily that's working towards that long-term aim, that long-term vision, that long-term objective, that long-term outcome, and investing in our people in that journey to get there, I've got no doubt that you are going to make a vast, vast difference in your leadership world. Thanks for tuning in to today's Leader, the Coach Curl podcast. It's been brought to you, of course, by Think and Grow Business and the Coach Curl Academy. We're strengthening leadership, mindset and business through personal, professional and business growth. And you can check them out at thinkandgrowbusiness.com.au or head on over to the Coach Curl Academy at thecoachcurlacademy.com. If you like this episode of Today's Leader, please subscribe, share, like, and of course we love reviews. Reviews really do help us get noticed and pumps us up through the iTunes or whatever podcast platform you're listening to, the algorithm. So of course we love reviews. So if you've really got some benefit out of today's episode, and of course looking forward to some of those future episodes, please review the podcast. Today's leaders stand tall, stronger. I'll do that again. Today's leaders stand tall, and we're stronger, braver and wiser. And today's leader will never forget the golden rule. Yes, you know what that is. Don't be an arsehole. Until next time, this is Tony Curl. I'll see you then.